I must admit that you surprised me greatly. The video posted some time ago about what happened to CJ did quite well by the channel's standards. Adding to this the fact that I have at least 2 more main characters in the GTA series that I would like to talk about in the context of their future, today we will talk about another one, namely Niko Bellic. In CJ's case, we had some clues as to what might have happened to him in the GTA games following San Andreas. The biggest problem, however, was that these references came from a different universe, which made some of the theories questionable. In this respect, today's video is much better because we know which of the 2 endings of GTA 4 is canon. And secondly, the clues that were added by the developers about Niko Bellic are in the same universe. But before we move on to the main part of the video, we must start from the end of the plot of GTA 4 for better context. As mentioned earlier, GTA 4 has 2 endings depending on the choice we make. We have to make this choice after talking to James Pegorino, a mafia boss who is fighting for his family to be able to join the so-called Commission 5 crime families based in Liberty City. Therefore, James cannot make mistakes and must prove to others that he is a serious player, a guy who can do a lot and who cannot be messed with. After working for Pegorino for a long time, Niko, as a trustworthy person, receives from him an offer of a risky, but at the same time, very lucrative job. The problem is that to complete the task, Niko will need to work with Dmitry Raskolov. Just to be clear, this is a guy who not only betrayed Niko in the previous weeks, but also tried to kill him several times. Just like his cousin, whom he kidnapped one day and kept in an abandoned warehouse in Bohan. On the one hand, Niko did not want to enter into this arrangement for Dmitry's sake, but on the other hand, the benefits were very tempting. After Niko's call to Roman, a coincidence led to Niko finding out where Dmitry is currently. Another gate was then opened. That is the possibility of getting Dmitry and taking revenge on him. Circumstantial evidence found by the GTA 5 gaming community clearly indicates that this is what Niko Bellic did. The protagonist goes to the platypus ship, where he finally closes the chapter of his life, with Dmitry in the main role. Unfortunately, Jimmy Pegorino was not very happy with this turn of events, and his entry into the commission was ruined, precisely because of Niko's decision. When Roman got married shortly after, Pegorino decided to take revenge. He drove up to the church and, shooting at Niko's group of friends, he shot straight at the innocent Kate, who died on the spot. When Niko soon recovered from the fateful incident, little Jacob came to the rescue and tracked down Pegorino's men. After Niko murdered his last enemy, he could try to put his life back together once again, especially since his other great enemy, Ray Bulgarin, who was always trying to get Niko, died in a spectacular plane crash, which we learned from one of the expansions to GTA 4. So now that we have managed to determine what the end of GTA 4 looked like, let's try to analyze what his fate was like in the following years. First, let's focus on a moment in GTA 4 that may tell us what steps Niko and his cousin would take if the situation was quite stable. Such a moment seems to be the one when all of Niko's enemies, including James Pegorino, no longer pose any threat. During one of the conversations we can hear during the Roman Sorrow mission, Roman tells Niko that he had a vision in which he and his cousin were the owners of a classic tavern. In this vision, Roman lived happily with Mallory, whom he eventually married in real life. This aspect in Roman's imagination was no worse for Niko, who also found a beautiful partner.
Thinking about getting out of the cab business. Last night I had a dream.
Really?
Yes. You and I had a place of our own. A place where people come to eat and relax. Classy place. None of this fast food diner bullshit. We own a real restaurant. Tavern. It's a place of distinction, you know?
Many people connect this statement with an Easter egg that we can encounter in GTA 5. It is a wanted poster with Niko Bellic's face on the porch of one of the cottages in the countryside. Next to the letter, you can see a dartboard. One of the most popular places in GTA 5 where we can play darts is the Yellow Jack Bar in Sandy Shores. So as you can see, the dots are starting to connect perfectly. Moving on, there is a picture of Niko Bellic in a tow vehicle on the walls of that bar. In turn, on the hangar nearby, there is a jacket that Niko wore in GTA 4. Some people speculate that this is supposed to indicate that Yellow Jack was the classic tavern that Roman mentions in GTA 4. And here, in my opinion, this speculation should end. Well, anyone who has played GTA 5 knows perfectly well that Yellow Jack is some kind of dirty shack in the middle of nowhere. Yellow Jack looks more like a pub for local slobs. In addition, it is located far from areas where people would fit into the cannons of guests from Roman's vision. Going further, GTA 5 also features 2 moments in which the characters we meet during the story mention Niko Bellic. The first example can be found during the Casing the Jewel Store mission, in which Lester talks about a certain Eastern European guy who operated in the criminal world in Liberty City. Lester mentions that he went quiet.
Irish crazies, they mostly just disappeared. That crew from the south, they all went down. There was an Eastern European guy making moves in Liberty City, but he went quiet.
This may suggest that Niko either lost his life as a result of some gangster squabble or was arrested by the police. This picture of the situation is also suggested by the previously mentioned poster in Sandy Shores. The poster says that the Liberty City Police Department is trying to bust Niko for the shootout at the nightclub in Hove Beach. We are most likely talking about the events of the Master and Molotov mission, in which Niko commits a huge crime in the Perestroika Cabaret Club, where he kills the head of the Russian mafia, Mikhail Faustin. In theory, this would all make a lot of sense. After all, Niko angered a lot of dangerous people during the events of GTA 4. Niko committed a lot of murders and robberies. For a person living in this way, it is quite natural that one day they may run out of luck and eventually end up either in the river or in prison. There's a very similar case with Patrick McReary, the character with whom Niko once robbed a bank. We can hear the theory about Niko from Packy when we choose him as one of the team members for the Paleto Bay heist in GTA 5. During the mission, Packy will tell the rest of the team about taking part in the infamous bank heist in Liberty City. Packy will mention Niko, among other things, saying that there is a good chance that Bellic is dead. However, he does not provide anything to support this thesis. This is only the most likely scenario in his opinion.
You know what? My first job ain't that interesting. I think I was spotting for my brother's scores in junior high. What is interesting is my biggest job, the Bank of Liberty City.
Ah, shit, yeah. I heard you were part of the crew that took that down.
I ran the crew. It was me, my brother Derek, God rest his soul, my pal Michael, God rest his soul, and another boy, Niko, who's probably dead too.
The arrest theory is a bit far-fetched in my opinion. After all, Niko was protected by the United Liberty Paper. This contact was happy to have people like Niko in their ranks, who is a typical one-man army man who can at any time do some dirty work for a government agency so that it does not have to do it by itself. However, what is weirdest is that neither Lester nor Packy use Life Invader, which is simply Facebook in the GTA world. You can find quite a lot about Niko on the website. While Packy can still be understood in the sense that he simply doesn't care about using some stupid Live Invader, Lester is a typical internet freak. The internet is like an open book for him. So why does Lester completely ignore this fact? The only possible answer is that Lester doesn't like social media and probably doesn't believe what is written there either. After all, Lester asked Michael to take down Jay Norris, the CEO of Life Invader. But let's not draw any quick conclusions here. We will explain all this in the final part of the episode. As for the Life Invader itself, I have no reason not to believe this website. There is no reason to think that the accounts of Roman, Niko, Brucey, Mallory, or Jacob are fake. Why would that be the case? Who would benefit from this? It's hard to find any conspiracy theory here. Rather, all this indicates that these are real profiles that show us what's going on with some of the characters from GTA 4. If anyone hasn't heard about this interesting fact, in Michael's house we can encounter a situation in which we will see Jimmy using the computer. Jimmy is browsing a profile on Life Invader, and this profile belongs to Niko in particular. We can learn from it that Niko lives in Liberty City, or to be more precise, in Broker. Apart from that, Niko works as a taxi driver for his cousin's company. It seems that Nikolai has finally managed to break away from the criminal world, just as he always wanted to. And this is what he mentions during one of his conversations with Kate. Additionally, from the Friends tab, we also learn that Niko still keeps in touch with various people he met during his adventures in 2008. On the website, you will also find 2 posts by Niko Bellic, the first of which is from 12 days ago, which confirms the belief that Niko is still alive and that he is doing quite well. Niko writes in the post the following statement: "I was hungry after an hour," and tags little Jacob in the post, who, as we remember, has always been a big fan of marijuana. I guess there is no doubt that Niko was finally tempted by a few cannabis cigarettes from Jacob because the main character is clearly describing the munchies, which very often comes with a person who has just smoked weed. The second post convinces the player even more that Niko is alive because it is even fresher than the previous one. It was made only 40 minutes ago, of course, relative to game time. In this post, Niko wishes Roman a happy birthday, which was very popular on Facebook at one time. So it's time to put it all together. As for Niko's wanted poster, it likely comes from 2008. This is indicated by the age given by the police on the poster. Niko was born in 1978, so in 2008 he was 30 years old, which fits perfectly into the age range given in the list. But the poster itself is not up to date during GTA 5. The wanted poster could have come from the times when Niko was not covered by the government agency, especially since the list does not mention Niko's crimes that he committed in the later stages of GTA 4. There is not even a mention of working for the Mafia or John Gravelli, who also cooperated with a contact of the United Liberty Paper Agency, just like Niko. Besides, if Niko was wanted on an arrest warrant, he probably wouldn't create his Life Invader profile, bragging to everyone that he smokes weed with Jacob, works in Liberty City in his cousin's company, and that his life is starting to get better. Furthermore, as for Lester, when he said that Niko went quiet, he probably meant that Niko simply left the criminal underworld and became legit. Lester did not mean that Niko died, and it should not be connected with Packy's statement. There are many indications that Packy has distanced himself from Liberty City. Taking into account that neither Packy nor anyone from the McReary family is using Life Invader, or at least there is no indication that they are, it's better to take Packy's words with a grain of salt. He probably spread an insignificant and fake rumor. From the point of view of Niko's dreams, all the things discussed today indicate that at some point, he managed to get back on track and achieve something of an American dream. Live happily ever after, spend time with family and friends, and not commit crimes. Now it's time for you, my dear viewers. Please let me know if you agree with all these arguments and if you think the same as me. Do you think the dots in this episode were connected correctly? And is the presented option the most likely one when it comes to what happened to Niko Bellic after the events of GTA 4? In the meantime, thanks for watching, take care, and see you soon.